Despite Celestia's earlier suggestion, Luna hated the boards. She hated it because her career was, in part, based on it. It had been her experience during her career that teachers recommended, suggested, and desired. Of all Celestia's postings, from her first day teaching at Forest Ridge to the posting she just received, had been because people had wanted and requested to be her there. Luna, however, for most of her career, had been at the boards, right until she had been requested by Celestia to take over vice principal slot at Caroline High. Normally, that would have been nepotism, but given that she had only been qualified at the time, that had been overlooked. Luna had busted her ass to make sure she proved she wasn't there because she was Celestia's kid sister. The boards, of course, were the Equestria County United School District's Board of Certification Standards. Every school's district had their own way of choosing teachers and slots, and each was unnatural and arcane, and the ECUSD's was no different. Trying to explain to an outsider would be just as futile as to why the short name of the board was the Boards. Personally, she suspected it was probably the brainchild of the same person who decided to nickname the Equestrian County Alternative High School for at-risk students the Blanks. But to sum it up, if you were up for a promotion or wanted to move laterally, if you weren't actually requested, you applied to the boards, and so the boards had taken on, perhaps unfairly, the general field of holding the teachers who were the also-rans, the ones that weren't the best of the best, and the ones who were just there. Kind of like untreated Pokemon. Forever condemned to sit in the Pokestores until someone wanted them, she sighed inwardly. At least she knew that the games didn't really work like that, and the bits of data were fictional. The names on the boards were very real people with very real lives, all put into a waiting bin because of someone's whim. Their careers going nowhere because of that. The 3 years she spent as a science teacher at Darkside High was proof enough of that. She had been taken on by the principal there because no one else had the credentials. And Millie, while working at DHS, wasn't as bad as, say, Sunnytown High or the Blanks. She hated every bit of working there. Mainly because working under the shadow of Mount Shasta and the tallest part of the ever-free National Forest, the small town seemed like it was drenched in gloom all the time. She loved the night, especially given her name, but dreary was an entirely different thing. So now here she was, the incoming principal of Canterlot High, again due to her sister's influence, albeit indirectly, as she had to look for a vice principal. She got to the candidates and selected one. Unlike the others, he wasn't local, but moved from Cincinnati, where he had been a math chair over at Walnut High. He moved there over the summer, but Luna wasn't sure why. When she asked why he had applied to the boards, he thought, oddly, that certification boards were normally how things were done in other school districts. Given that he was coming not only from another district but out of state, perhaps that made sense. But here she was, at the South Plantation in Bella Vista, where she agreed to meet him for lunch to get a feel for things. It felt odd, like a date, but the match would be someone she could work with. And given that she had recently gotten engaged, she really didn't get why her mind made the connection. Still, Dr. Luna. She looked up from her tablet to see the man standing there. Graying black tee and goatee with sallow skin. He was just currently in a maroon polo and stone gray slacks that gave the impression of an entertainment lawyer trying to dress down. Or, as he sure was going to get mentioned, Dracula slumming in California. He stood ramrod straight, which either meant he had military training or stickler for posture. As he stood up, he offered his hand. Chancellor Nese, it's a pleasure to meet you. She gave a winning smile as he shook. Chancellor? The Nese family has been in education since the early days of the United States, he said with a smile. My mother always told me that when the Mayflower came over, one of our ancestors was busy holding classes during the voyage. Anyway, I think I fared better than my sister. Her name's Dorset. I see, she said, gesturing to the seat. Please have a seat, Dr. Nese. Please, chance is fine. Chance it is then. You can call me Nuna, she told him. Now, admittedly, everything is in order as your credentials and CV goes. But I'll admit, I'm curious as to why you moved from Cincinnati. From what I gather, Walnut Hills is one of the top schools in the nation. And you are the math chair. Certainly you are destined for bigger and better things, right? Why move to Canterlot? And why ECUSD? Oh, believe me, I was happy there. But circumstances forced my hand, he admitted. My ex-wife moved here about 5 years ago with our 2 children. She admitted to me that she had terminal cancer, so I needed to take the kids in. After some discussion, we agreed that moving our kids was not in the best interest for either them or her. So I chose to move here.
That's very commendable, Luna admitted.
Not as much as you might think, he admitted with a beaming smile. The first 2 places I applied was both Zachary and Munkenegger. Given their pedigrees, unfortunately, positions weren't available there. I was then considered a persistent at Holy Cross, but I never have been the most religious person there is. Finally, I was talking to Bunsen Burner over at San Paloma High. We attended college together, so there had been a huge fountain of advice. When she suggested I applied with the ECUSD. However, I didn't know about the reputation the boards had, else I would have just applied directly to the Board of Education.
I gathered that. Either way, I need a vice principal to take charge of the day-to-day. Dr. Celestia's promotion to assistant superintendent was rather sudden, and I was glad they're giving me the principal slot. But even still, I've been working for 7 years at CHS vice principal. Moving up is going to be a challenge, so I'd like to have someone knowledgeable in the vice slot.
I can do that. I was principal at one of the summer school locations last year. I believe I was able to bring in the profile of Westside High quite a bit,
he said with a smile. From my research, you were. And whatever recommendations you made must have stuck, because academically they have improved over the year. I hope you can bring that sort of diligence to Canterlot High.
I certainly hope so.
That was enough for Luna. Celestia could tell her to think things over a bit more, but Luna didn't have much choice. School started on Monday, and with teachers already working, several of them were inquiring about the change in how things were going on at CHS. Celestia, although still technically the principal for this final year, pointed to the principal's office, the newest document, mailing Luna. Luna knew she couldn't do it on her own. Years of her sisters pulling Luna's own fat out of the fire proven that. As much as she would have liked to promote someone from within the ranks of CHS, no one was qualified except for Kibbitz, and he was so close to retirement, he said he preferred to keep working in the trenches until his time. So there was no choice. Offering her hands, he said, "Welcome to CHS, Tots." Tracy Lulamoon carried out her magic wagon, seeing it almost buried in the snow due to the stronger than normal snowstorms that had been occurring. She heard rumor that Princess Celestia had been ill, and as such the sun was as bright as it was normally, but she couldn't get confirmation. The most she got was Dutch's highfalutins had imposed a greater tax on the lands that she governed in order to cover the famine. Funny, Tracy could still see the famine, she thought to herself as she began to dust off the snow and mud that buried her wagon. The excess weathering had taken its toll on her cart, and she was going to have to make sure that she got it repaired in a town soon. The axles were probably in need of replacing, and the front right wheel was slipping in Friend's chamber. After that was done, she created a clearing and brought her heating crystals so she could cook breakfast. Toasted pine sacks. It was an acquired taste immediately, but she picked it up somewhere and she absolutely loved it. The extra crunchy taste of the pine cone coating, holding the syrupy sweet pine sap within, melted in one's mouth and just didn't let go. It also went great with coffee. After that was done, she lifted the wheel further. She wasn't a cartwright by any means, but she knew she would have to go to the next town to get it fixed. A broken axle was going to cost her dearly, especially given all the weirdness, even by equestrian standards. For a traveling performer like her, a lost day's wages could be the difference between eating that day or not. She summoned her map and looked it over. The closest town was Grassglade, but they didn't really have a cartwright. And after that, a ways was meandering past, but well, it was best not to think about it. Really, there were only 2 towns in the area that could service her wagon, above where a distance away. Berryville was tended to be extraordinarily expensive, since that town was so single-minded about their crops. They practically had to import everything else, and, she gulped, Berryville. It was a week away, and she took her time, which she would have to, in order to make it easier on the wheel. But she had mixed feelings about going back there. Still, my wagon needs fixing, and Kissing Pulse is one of the best in the business, even if he's based in that blasted town, she mentally grumbled. She didn't have a choice, really. With a heavy sigh, she teleported all her gear into the wagon, then cleaned up and prepped for the trip to Ponyville. She hated that she had to pay for teleportation cycles placed on all her belongings, and so she was an Earth Pony. But sadly, teleportation was useful, and she needed it. With sad thoughts, she finally hitched herself to her wagon and began to slide towards Pointville. Hopefully, she would meet somebody along the way, and nothing else she could use the company before she got in trouble with the town guards again. Sunset lay in her room, with Arya sleeping next to her. She really hadn't wanted the company, but her cousin had insisted, and with the others out taking care of errands, she wasn't really in the mood to argue. So she laid there, staring at the ceiling, unsure how to feel. A year ago, she was a selfless girl that had no plans other than to storm the metaphorical gates of heaven in order to get what she wanted. Even though she didn't want to admit that even to herself. That thing in question was her mother's love. Now a year later, she had more family and friends than she knew what to do with. She became so obscenely rich literally overnight, and she was getting things that she actually wanted. Moreover, the trappings of power and fame, the princesshood and alicornhood that she had so desired back then, were now things that she wasn't sure she wanted at all. Hell, if she wanted to argue the point, she had the romantic affections of two girls fighting over her. Plus, with the occasional intrusion of another reality's occasional thoughts in her mind, she realized that other sunsets had romantic relations with just about everyone she knew, including the girl sleeping next to her. She forced that out of her mind. Not only did incest squeak the heck out of her, she couldn't see Arya, or anyone else she knew in that light. Really, she was getting to see that her incest was more trouble than it was worth. She wondered if Twilight, the princess not her sister, had ever had the same issues. Well, she wasn't about to get anything done as she continued to lay there. Getting up to make sure she didn't wake up Arya, she stepped out of the room and decided to go downstairs to make lunch. Sure, she could magic it up, but she could transport herself to anywhere in the world to have whatever she wanted. Well, was taking a path she wasn't sure she wanted to take. For all her life, her biological mother had very normal pony desires, needs, and actions, despite the fact she could have done whatever she wished. It was that earlier thought that had gotten Sunset where she was. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and what that might be was a simple jaunt to New York for burgers in Manhattan would turn out later for her to be right back where she was a year ago. She refused to let that happen again. So, normal girl walked into the kitchen to make a normal sandwich. As he headed for the stairs, she saw Spike intently staring at the door. "Spike, something the matter?" "I don't see them anymore," he muttered. "Sorry?" He finally looked at her. "When I was just a kid, Mom and Dad used to measure my height by making notches on the door. But I don't see them anymore. Is it because this really isn't our house?" "What makes you think it's not our house?" she asked him. "Because I woke up one morning and I had all the video games I wanted, but I didn't have that earlier. And I remember my friends had larger TVs than I did, but I have a bigger one than they do, and it's in my own room. And the one in the den is even bigger. And, well, it feels kind of weird. I remember that problem we had those soldiers, and now it's like it's never happened. Instead of our old house, we have this one. And nobody but us seems to remember it. It's weird." Sunset sighed. She soon realized this was going to happen sooner or later. The rest of them, as unusual as was, could deal with temporal and realistic changes that occurred. But Spike was a kid, and that meant his way of looking at the world wasn't as strongly formed as hers was. "Spike, do you know why this happened?" "Well, I would say it's your fault, but that's not fair to you. I remember everyone crying because you got hurt, and did you die?" Sunset was about to say something when Spike added, "But that doesn't make sense either. You're here and this is a video game." He frowned. "Great, now I'm confused." A thought came to her. "Have you had lunch yet?" When he shook his head, she smiled and said, "Tell you what, let's go wake up Arya and we could go somewhere." "Don't worry, I'm up. You're up for a trip. I know a great little place for lunch." They both turned to see Arya walking towards them, stretching. "Around here?" "Depends on what you mean by here," Arya said with a crafty smile. A few minutes later, they were overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Waikiki, courtesy of a little burger shack. "We were here 2 years ago after a mission," Arya explained. "First time one of us had been shot, so our stewards decided we needed a break. We ended up spending a week relaxing here in Hawaii." "You were shot?" Spike asked, surprised. While I looked at his eyes, suddenly brought up everything that had happened to them in the time that no longer existed, and Sunset couldn't help but wince. "Spike, I know this isn't easy for you to understand, but it wasn't a dream. Sunset told him in place of Arya. Everything really did happen. We were captured by enemy forces. Sunny fought an evil demon and she... The teen hesitated to say die, but Fireside commented, Sunny died saving us. Saving everyone. What? Sunset looked at him sadly. It's true, Spike. But you're alive. How can you be alive if you died? Because something had to be done in order to save us all. And it had to be me, because of my magic. He looked at her with shock. You have magic? Well, we're in Hawaii right now, aren't we? Sunset explained. Spike finally realized that for the first time, no, she wasn't joking. This just wasn't a part of Caroline he hadn't seen before. They really and truly were in Hawaii. Took several more minutes to explain that it was a secret, and it was supposed to be a secret. And secrets meant nobody gets told, not even his friends. That things had changed for a number of reasons, and he was too young to understand right now. But as he got older, he would appreciate how different things were. After all, couldn't he remember a time when Arya and her sisters weren't there? Well, he admitted he had, as he smiled and told him that he was happy they were all together. Because it meant that they were a family, and that was part of the secret. Finally, as lunch was finished, he went out to use the bathroom and Sunset looked at her cousin. Thanks, Ari. I wasn't sure what to say. It's okay. I get that he doesn't understand. In the old time, I really didn't get a lot of things either at times. I was lucky that our shores took the time to explain to us when it was needed. So I can appreciate his confusion. She leaned forward on the table. I just wish sometimes I could have been as innocent as he was back then. Not now. Not even this timeline, really. So if I could keep him innocent just a little bit longer, I think he'll be okay. You're a wonderful person to know, Arya Blaze. Arya blushed. Not really, but I'm working on it, she commented. Sunset looked at her phone. Well, we better head up soon. There's a 3-hour time difference between here and home, so I have to explain why we're skipping dinner. Spike came back, she added, "Will you pay the bill, then we could go." Instead, Sunset got a text on her cell phone. It was from Garden Variety, as he did not seem calm at all. Hey, can we talk? I'm tied up right now. What's up? Look, I really need someone to talk to. I don't know what to do. Okay, meet me at the cafe in an hour. The response was nearly instant. No, can we meet somewhere else? How about Saigon Suites? Sure, see you there. Sunset sighed. My work is never done. Well, you were the one who wanted to be an all-powerful goddess, right? 'Cause of the territory, Arya told her. All things considered, I think I'm more the Greco-Roman force of element type rather than the omnipotent omniscient variety. But that's not the point. Point is, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with solving the world's problems. Arya patted her cousin on the shoulder. Too late for that. Later. There you go, Sonny, Bonbon says. He says sizable confection in front of her, as well as a small jar of hot fuzz. One cocoa spear on for you on the house. Cocoa spear? New dessert we're working on, Bonbon told her with a smile. Hollow chocolate shell filled with vanilla ice creams and candies in the middle. You pour the hot fuzz on it to melt it open. Hope you like. Sunset eyed the thing as she was giving her calories just by looking at it. Alcorn or not, she wants to seriously pick up weight by eating it, though she was highly tempted to risk it. I'm sure I will, Bonnie. Bonbon brought out the same thing for Garden and walked off. Another girl? Garden asked her. You sure you're not a carpet puncher? Bonnie's a friend, as he's already in a happy relationship, Sunset commented. For the last time, no, I'm straight. And I thought we were talking about your problems. Fine. I'm just trying to bleed some levity off my frustration, the older girl commented. Look, I'm feeling real stupid for talking to you in the first place. But for some reason, you're approachable. No idea, but I needed to talk to someone. She took a break and then continued. The hospital laid me off today. Something about cost overhead or some bullshit. The point is, I don't have the job anymore. Mrs. Desk knows about it and says that this isn't a problem, but I want to send Bramble to daycare so that Mrs. Desk can enjoy her retirement. I know, gargled down. I don't know what to do. I can't keep relying on Mrs. Desk, though she's been helpful, and I can't turn to my parents. Sunset sighed. There was no easy answers on this one. It wasn't so certain where to begin to help on this. Maybe being a sounding board was enough, but she didn't think so. Have you considered applying for the assistant manager job at the cafe? Oh no, We're not getting into this again, kid, Garden said. I told you, I don't want charity, and I really doubt the Cakes are going to pass over their golden girl just because they need to pick me up. Sorry, but I'm not going to do that to you, and I'm not going to do that to them. Stop about doing anything to anyone, Garden, Sunset told her. It's about what your son needs and what you need. The guard gave her a querying look. Sunset explained, You need the money in case you weren't aware. My information became public the other day, and I'm surprised I don't need bodyguards or anything like that. I actually have more money than my parents do, and they're wealthy. Yeah, if I had the kind of money you do, I sure as hell wouldn't be working at a cafe, Karen said. Well, keep in mind that I do it for other reasons, Sunset told her. I still attend to you, but I don't need the money. You do. I told you. I know you did. And I'm telling you, apply for the position. I'm not giving you up just because of pity or whatever. Ultimately, it's the Cakes' decision. All I could do is give you advice. Guardian took a bite of her Choco Spear. Then continued, I don't know if I should or not. You should. Don't think of how I feel or how the Cakes might feel, Guardian. I'm not going to be offended, honestly. Your main concern is to be you, your son, and Mrs. Desk. Look, I really don't want to step on your toes, Sunset. You're already doing more than enough for me, and I appreciate it. I just don't want to seem like an ingrate. You aren't, Garden. You're taking care of your son. Trust me, as someone who was literally just adopted the other day, I could very much appreciate the concept of looking out for family. Sunset took a bite of her own Choco Spear. Just think about it, okay? There's still time. I'll think about it, she said uneasily. In her bedroom, Pinky sighed as she lay on her bed, spent from thinking about Sunset. However, the words of her friends weighed heavily on her mind, even as the pleasure drifted away. Oh. She loved Sunset. There was zero doubt about that. Every bone and muscle in her body ached for her, and even now, Pinky could feel her body call out for Sunset's touch. She was used to those kisses, those lips, their firm, tight form against hers. She stopped, pulling her hands away before she let herself down the path of desire again. Was this an obsession? Was she turning to something like Atlas and Cecily? The thought terrifying her. Even though Sunset was far more than capable of protecting herself, even before she became what she was now, the thought of having a helpless Sunset tied up for Pinky's pleasure brought a slight thrill through her, then a deep shame. No, I'm better than that. I'm better than them, she hissed in the dark. She hated them internally. For a second, she hated herself for even having those thoughts about the one person she truly loved. She slipped on some clothing and went to the bathroom and took a quick shower. Thankfully, everyone in the house was asleep, because she really didn't want to explain why she was taking a shower at 2 in the morning. Then went back to her bedroom and changed the bed sheets, planning to take them down later today. Throwing on a fresh bed sheet, she looked at the soiled ones, marked with her own crime and passion. It then made her uncomfortable as well. She sat back down in her bed, hugging her knees, troubled by her own thoughts. She loved Sunset more than anything. She knew within her heart that this was a permanent thing. This wasn't like Rose, that bitch, who took her own boyfriend because she wanted Sunset as well. This wasn't a thing she knew would go away as the years went by, though she technically considered call herself bisexual. She wondered if she was single target sexual, or gray sexual. She knew that term existed too, towards Sunset. And though she found attractiveness in several people she knew, she didn't love them. Didn't want them like she wanted Sunset. Was that healthy? Has she really recovered from what Atlas and Cecily did to her? Was she considering herself to do to Sunset what had been done to her? She loved Sunset too much to do so. She wondered if Sunset could even read her thoughts right now. When dealing with what was a lunar goddess, even a neophyte one, what was on the table, what was off. She trusted Sunset wouldn't invade the privacy of others, but those were human thoughts. And at the end of the day, the girl she loved really wasn't human, ironically. That didn't bother her in the least. Sunset was far more human than the others she knew. Certainly more than the animals that ravished her and ruined her life. Impulse grabbed her, and she picked up her phone, opening Sunset's number and typed in a text. If I loved you forever, would you hate me for it? She didn't immediately erase it without sending it. With her luck, sending a text right now would only cause Sunset to come to visit her immediately. She didn't want that. She didn't want Sunset to see her at her worst and weakest. Pinky had to be a pillar of strength for the girl she loved, because even a god might feel lonely at times. Being frail just wouldn't do. It reminded her of a movie she watched years ago, and to quote from it, language was invented for one reason, to woo women, and in that endeavor, laziness will not do. She wasn't sure why, but she went to her bookcase and grabbed a book she had been meaning to read for some time. Perhaps when wooing an alicorn, laziness wouldn't do, even at 2:36 a.m. When she was late to breakfast, Cub went to check on our niece. Finding Pinky asleep in a curled up position worried her slightly, but she didn't pry. She did, however, find Pinky stirring laundry, remembering what it was like being a teenage girl herself, opted not to unintentionally embarrass the girl and decided to just let her sleep. While Pinky did have to work today, Sundays were fortunately slow enough that the cafe could do without her. Besides, given that school started tomorrow, Cub thought that the niece probably could use all the rest she could get. Cub, however, did wonder why Pinky had fallen asleep in that position with the cup of Ruby at. The highlighter ink blotted one particular contrain. A book of verses underneath the bough, a jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou. Beside me, swinging in the wilderness. Oh, wilderness were paradise now. Sunset woke up and went downstairs for coffee. She had a long day ahead of her, the last day before school began. "Hey, girls," she said to her family went down. "Hey, sis," Twilight said as the group all read from their individual tablets or phones. "Mom and Dad took Spike out this morning to go shopping for uniforms. Apparently, he outgrew his over the summer, so Mom wants to make sure he's got something that fits." "Aw, they grow out so fast, don't they?" Octavia said with a grin. "Yeah, luckily for Sunny, she's the only one who could get away with not wearing uniforms." Sunset grinned. "Hey, we have a dress code too, you know. Granted, students always try to push the boundaries of it, but Miss Luna isn't exactly going to let that go. Anyways, I need to get going. Need to head to the cafe for something." "Got to work?" Sanaa asked. "This is Geek and start me starting out the new location on Tuesday." Sunset didn't want to tell her cousin what she was up to. Sanaa had been moved because Sunset was going to work at Slim Palamo Brands. With Sunset eventually giving that up, she didn't want Sanaa to think that she was doing something untoward. Her youngest cousin would surprisingly be sensitive about these sort of things. "No, just some stuff regarding the location," Sunset said glibly. "Okay, well don't forget to be home tonight," Adachi said. "We're making dinner tonight. Chinese. Really?" "We came from a family of Chinese restaurateurs, remember?" Arya said with a laugh. "We're going to see how much Mom left off on us," she added. Okay. Millie, we didn't really learn much from her, and we're adopted, obviously. But we learned from our grandparents whenever we went to Vancouver, okay?" "Sounds fine by me," Sunset said. "I'm going to grab breakfast there. I'll see you when I get home, okay?" "If the kitchen hasn't been set on fire by then, sure," Octavia said with a giggle, getting 3 mock glares as a result. Sunset made it to the door when she heard Twilight's voice. "Sunny?" She turned to look at Twilight, who had a calm look on her face. "You might not be able to hide it from others, but not me. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, Twilight," Sunset told her as she grabbed her purse. The look on Twilight's face changed to one of concern. "Sunny, I may not be as powerful as you are, but I'm still your sister. I'm still someone you can rely on, you know that. If something is wrong, I want to help." "Twilight," Sunset sighed. "Seriously, nothing is wrong, sis. I'm going to help someone else out. Because someone you don't know, is in trouble and only I can help. Otherwise, she'll be in dire straits, and I can't let that happen. Sunny, please don't take this the wrong way, but, well, you might be a goddess, but you're not my, or any other human's deity. I certainly don't consider you one, and I can't. So don't set the world on your shoulders. Believe me, I want you to consider me one." Sunset went over and gave her sister a loving smile. "And this doesn't involve any horn or wings business. This is just me, being a normal girl, helping out someone when I can, because I'm in the best position to do so. Well, I'm here for you either way. Just don't ask me to slay a dragon for you, okay?" "Oh, of course not." Sunset laughed as she opened the door. "Why kill off a good secretary? See you later." Twilight stood there, looking into space where her sister had been a second before. She wasn't sure what was going on, but she knew that Sunset would still need her family, and that was enough for Twilight. She could sort out the rest later. A second later, it hit her. Wait, Secretary? Thanks for doing this, sis, Luna told Celestia. The pair was standing by one of the public grills at the Three Heroes Park, where Celestia ran to one of the public pavilions. The reason was both a farewell party for Celestia as outgoing principal, congratulatory for Luna as incoming principal, and a welcome for Naysay as the incoming vice principal. At the moment, the older sister was flipping burgers, making sure that her soon-to-be former employees were well fed. Hey, when I first took over at the principal's slot at CHS, Study says it did this for me, Celestia explained. I think it's kind of distant, so it's not a problem. She looked at all of the CHS faculty, assembled just talking amongst themselves as peers and friends. From Raven and Shirley mercilessly flirting with Tofu, to Iron Will bulk biceps challenged each other to a game of cornhole, while hoisting brews and laughing like old friends. You've got that fiery look on your face, Luna told her. Of course I do. Even though I'm technically still the school principal, eventually I won't be. And then next year, when I move to headquarters building, I won't be outright. As it is, with all the increased duties I'll be taking on, I doubt I'll be around much anyway. It's your show now, sis. These are your folks, and I'm sure you'll do a great job. She glanced at Naysay, who was moving around getting to chat with several of the other teachers. Looks like your vice is breaking the ice with the others. Maybe she could do so as well. What? Not stay here with you? I'm a relic, sis. You're the future CHS, not me. Luna swore dead for a second. A brief ghost of sorrow and regret passed over her sister's face. Go be that boss your faculty deserves. Hey, are you actually molding on us, Tia? She turned to see Heartswing approach. Grin on her face and a wine cooler in hand. This is supposed to be a time when we're unwinding. Lord knows we can be serious tomorrow when we're dealing with the country on brats and reprobates. Remind me again why you're a teacher, Winnie, Luna asked. Because strippers and pole dancers don't pay as well, the woman laughed. Celestia gave a grin. Fair enough. But seriously, if I can let reality interlude for a moment.
Dear old dear, this party's for you all who are talking work,
Bulk muttered as he walked up to grab a burger. Hey, seriously, I'm just curious to know what you plan to do for tomorrow's coming assembly. Since the leadership isn't the only one you had to acknowledge, folks. There are students who aren't coming back, and I'm not talking about the ones that moved or graduated. A silent pause slowly sank over the gathering as he realized what she meant.
Something's wrong,
Naysay asked.
At least some of our students was affected by the deadhead killings over the summer, Kibitz told him. Between that, the freak hurricane, and earthquake 2 weeks ago, it's been a real rough summer here in Carolot.
There's also rumors going around now about both Fluttershy and Sunset Shimmer, Shirley added. Honestly, I'm not sure what's is weirder. The rumors are true, Celestia told him. Fluttershy is the daughter of Discord, and Sunset Shimmer is a long-lost French princess who met her birth mother over the course of the last few weeks.
Great! As if shit wasn't weird enough,
Heartswing groaned. Winnie, Fluttershy's parentage hasn't really affected her. Just because she is the daughter of a rock star doesn't mean she isn't the same as he is. That's true, Raven commented. She's always been, well, Sigh. Likewise, Sunset Shimmer has changed quite a bit over the last year, Luna added. She's not the same girl that she used to be, and you have to take into account that everything has been published publicly about her is true. Peach Bomb looked at her fellow teachers and said, I've been following the case over the summer. As one of the school's counselors, it's my job, and everything I was able to find out about Sunset Shimmer over the course of last year, I'm frankly amazed. Given her upbringing, she was really ended up as an overkill queen bee rather than something much worse. Folks, she was raised by a criminal, and then for the past 4 years lived by herself, homeless in an abandoned factory. I don't know about you, but half the kids I know in our school can't live without their cell phones for 5 minutes, much less to lead a life for years without adult supervision. Tia, I know you, Luna, you two know more than anyone else about Sunset's case. We know she's changed, but we have seen her during the summer. Obviously, what's changed? Tia and I know her adopted mother, and I can assure you, Sunset has changed. Luna informed them, sprinkling a bit of truth before the bold-faced lie came about. Furthermore, we've been told by her adopted mother that Sunset was such a surprise to find out about her true parentage. She's not sure how to take it, but the fact that she was already living with a wealthy foster family that adopted was shocking enough to her. For her now to be a little princess with an inheritance that makes her potentially the richest person within a 500-mile radius. I'm glad Velvet has a good head on her shoulders, Celestia added, with a hint of amusement. I'm not sure what I'd do in that situation.
I say, give her a chance. Hell, give them both a chance.
They all looked at Cranky Jewel, whose words were surprising, given he always had stated a mistrust of Sunset.
You remember last year when homecoming happened and that exchange student showed Sunset up? When the school's facade fell apart? That night I swear I saw that girl turn into some sort of demon.
Luna and Celestia looked at each other oddly, before Hartswing continued. Yes, I remember that. You later told us that medication you were on also made you see a talking purple dog and some other things.
Yep, glad to change my doses. My wife thought I was some kind of high-ass hippie, he said with a gruff laugh. Anyway, I think we all know what that girl's capable of or worse. Yes, he's never done anything that's led to her other than detention. Certainly not suspension or expulsion, though in hindsight, maybe we could find out what real home life was if we had. He took a swig of beer and said, Anyway, given what Peaches told us, I'm willing to give her a chance. Maybe she's a spoiled fucking princess, or maybe we'll find out now. She's a regal one. Anyway, either way, we won't find out till we give her that chance. Fair enough, Will told him. Always glad to see our students improve themselves.
Hey, that's enough sobriety for now, Raven commented. We got the rest of the day to unwind. We can worry about tomorrow when tomorrow comes, right? Yes, let's just relax for now, Tofu agreed. And the unofficial faculty conference broke off once again, to various discussions as the staff of Canterlot High let themselves unwind once more. Both Luna and Celestia breathed a hearty sigh of relief. Are you sure about this, Sunset? Carrot Cake asked her. Seated in the offices of the Sugar Cube Corner Cafe, both the Cakes and Sunset discussed what was to come. Very, Sunset told him. After the past month, I need normalcy in my life. I need to know what it's like to be a normal girl again. Cub gave her employee a cuddly smile. I'm sure every princess out there would say that being a princess is perfectly normal, Your Highness. Sunset groaned. Please don't do that. She's only joking, of course, Carrot told her. You were Sunset to us before all this happened, and I don't see why that would change. Thanks, guys. So please, give it some thought. I'm not going to be hurt or offended by it if you decide to give the job to Garden. She needs it far more than I do, and we know that she could do the job. We always planned on something like that someday, and she planned to stay with the company, Karen admitted. But this is admittedly very selfless of you, Sunny. I hope you don't mind us saying this, but we're proud of you. Sunset blushed deeply. Really, it's what anyone would have done. No, it's not. I know you don't need the money, but not just anyone would turn down a higher-paying job because someone else needed it. Cut smiled, then leaned forward across the desk. Regardless, I'm not going to get you down off that easy. We were planning to give Garden a pay raise for being a senior company waitress anyway, so with what we were planning to pay you as the assistant manager, I think we can still afford to do that and pay Garden the salary she'll need, won't we, dear? From where he sat, Carrot nodded. I think so. Means we'll probably have to put off Automorama's promotional comps this year. But I think the pumpkin spice overload that our competition keeps bringing up, I think we're safe at doing that. He admitted with a smile. In that case, we'll give her a call and set something up. When do you think you'll be able to come back to work? If we're going to be switching things out, we'll need you back soon. Sunset slumped back in her chair, believed that everything was going to work out. She hadn't used her powers, and that was for the best, all things considered. Will Tuesday be okay? I want to get back into the swing of things at school, and I suspect, given my public profile as of late, the first day of school tomorrow is going to be interesting. I don't envy you at all, Sunset. I still remember how high school could be at that age. I didn't have to deal with the additional pressures you do. Still, if you ever need someone to talk to, you know where to find us. Thanks, Mr. Cake. I know it's been a rough month having to deal with without both me and Sunny, but we won't let you down. I'm sure you won't, dear. You haven't since you first came to work for us. As Sunset left the cafe, she felt a lot better about things. Sure, she didn't need the money at all, but maybe she could figure out a way to use it in charities discreetly. She would have to ask the triplets about that, as she was sure Sanaa would probably have some experience in that regard. And not, she was sure Derpy probably did. She looked at the time on her phone and realized she had a lot more time on her hands than she expected. As she walked to her car, she considered calling Rarity to see if she wanted to go shopping. Felt like forever since the two of them had just hung out together. Maybe we could grab Flutters and make a day of it, she thought to herself. Sonny? Hearing Pinky's voice immediately put those thoughts to a halt. She knew her friend, and the sound of said speaker was exhausted and hangered. Sure enough, Sunset turned to see Pinky, who looked as though she hadn't slept on the prior night. Are you okay, Pinks? Sunset asked, genuinely concerned. Do you have time to talk? Pinky asked. Sure. Let's go somewhere. Do you have any suggestions? Somewhere where I can be alone and talk without being disturbed, Pinky said, yawning. Sorry, I didn't get much sleep last night. Sure, I can think of a place or two if you want. Plus, where I'm thinking, you can sleep in the car along the way. The cheerleader gave her one smile. Works for me. A couple of hours later, the two were sitting at the Horseshoe Bay Pier. Pinky nestled against Sunset's shoulder, both munching on the traditional Horseshoe Bay snack of crab cobs. It looked seasoned with Old Bay spice. A breezy afternoon, lazing on the pier with my babe. You really know how to treat a girl, Sonny. Sunset sighed. She had to end this. She really had to. Look, Pinky, I know what you're going to say, and let me stop you, Pinky said without looking at her. Voice sounded sad and wistful. Sonny, I love you. This isn't some silly girl crush that I settled on, nor is it some artifact of the thread that was within me. It's... I know other way to say it. I love you so much it hurts sometimes. I'm always afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing that'll push you away from me, because it's so screwed up. Believe me, Pinky, you're not the only one who thinks that. No, because I have no idea how I'm going to get out of this mess. Sunset thought to herself. Pinky chuckled and spoke once more. It's too bad if a heart likes fire, and is deprived of the light of a heart ablaze. The thing in which you are, without passionate love, is the most wasted day of your life. Sunset looked at her. I didn't know they had the Somnambulate here. Pinky smiled. No, that's from the Rubaiyat. It's a 10th century book of Parisian poetry. What's the Somnambulate? I assume it's the equestrian equivalent. A book of poetry written in pre-classical era by the Princess Somnambula. It's considered one of the great books of romantic love. Pinky blushed. I dreamt last night that you and I were in a great marble palace, and you lay before me on a bed of silks, dressed in satins and gold, and all I could do was prostrate before your greatness, feed you grace and sing you the quatrains of a long time gone. Pinky, this sounds way too much like worship, and I don't... I know. I love you. I idolize and I ache you for you, Sonny. I don't want to worship you. If I did that, I'll lose myself in reasons for loving you. Relationships built on equality, not on a lopsided tug-of-war where one has all the advantage and the other begs for table scraps, real or imagined. I don't want that for us. Pinky's eyes gazed to the sunsets. I'm not sure how to say this. Pinky, listen, I want you to make the first move. The words tumbled out Pinky's mouth unbidden. I want to feel like a seductress, like I'm becoming someone to lord over you, and I don't want to worship you, to beg for your affections. I want you to come to me, for me, Sonny. I want you to love me for who I am. Pinky, I'm not the happy-go-lucky cheerleader, party girl everyone knows. The girl that I am. One who likes reading classical texts. One who loves museums and poetries, long walks in a cold nights by a fireplace. She blushed again and added, one that can effortlessly get lost in your beautiful cyan eyes, like I'm adrift to the Caribbean. Sunset sighed. This is exactly how she got caught up last time. She wasn't going to let that again. Pinky, we can't. I know. We both need time to take this slowly, Pinky smiled, and Sunset saw the usual girl she knew, not the one bent on taking her heart. I'm your friend as well as your girlfriend, your courtier and your bride. But that last part wasn't for a while. She smiled again. I don't want to be like Rose giving you an ultimatum. Fuck me or else I go back to Ward. I could never do that for you. I never could.
Pinky, she didn't.
You don't have to cover for her, Pinky said with surprising venom. That bitch could be devious. I never heard her tell Jimmy that she's gonna be her sister-in-law someday. Over my dead body, that's for sure. As I sure as hell am not rolling over.
Pinky, would you listen to yourself? Sunset told her, not letting her friend interrupt her.
Pinky frowned. I'll do you again, aren't I? Sorry, I'm probably gonna be like this for a while. Damaged and adjusting to a real relationship. 'Cause I never had one until I met you.
Sunset wanted to point out to her that they weren't in a relationship. But at the same time, she realized that with Pinky's state of mind, that would probably be the worst thing to say at the moment. Pinky took a long breath and repressed the lovesick girl in favor of the manic pixie girl everyone knew.
That's why I'll wait. For as long as it takes. Until my dying breath to the end of time, Sonny. 'Cause I love you. 'Cause I want you to love me as much as I do you. And I won't lie. It's gonna be hard for me. I know it. Just please be patient with me. I'm probably not gonna be the best girlfriend I can be. 'Cause I'm not really sure I'm doing it right. But I want to be the best for you. And not some abstract the best.
She punctuated the last with air quotes. Sunset couldn't help but be sincere in Nick's words, because they were the truth. You're a lot more romantic than Flash ever was, that's for sure. For him, romance was there just before riding the sack.
I'll make sure I never do that.
The look in Pinky's eyes was serious.
You are more to me than just some girl. I'm yours forever, Sonny, and I always will be yours. That is my fate and my word. I won't ever leave your side metaphorically, maybe literally. I dare not treat you like some girl.
She snuggled up against Sunset again.
So I'll wait. Be content with it until I have your lips.
Pinky then sang a soft melody.
Kiss me with your mouth. Your love is better than wine, but wine is all I have. Will you ever love me like mine?
Do you remember that again? Sunset asked.
Pinky chuckled. No, my lifetime. You singer. Was the original vocalist for Duran Duran. I always liked his work.
Pinky looked at Sunset's eyes, blue gazing and sighing once more. The formless lips moved fervently, and paused, turning to kiss Sunset on the cheek.
I meant what I said. It won't be easy for me, my love. But you're much worth waiting for.
She snuggled closer to Sunset, listening to the rhythm of the latter's heartbeat, and before she knew it, she was softly dozing. Sunset, however, felt the crushing weight of the metaphorical iceberg that slanted the Titanic. She couldn't break Pinky's heart. She didn't love her that way. She couldn't. Maybe, centuries from now, but Sunset really doubted it. She was attracted to girls she could have easily dated someone, or somebody else of her own gender by now. And yet here she was, as straight as an arrow, with her girlfriend leaning against her. A still-declared girlfriend that Sunset loved too much, and a very much platonic sense, to hurt. They stayed that way, Sunset watching her namesake occur as the sun set over the Pacific horizon. They still had a 2-hour drive back home. Maybe get some dinner along the way, and then prepare for school tomorrow. Not wanting to wake Pinky because she looked so exhausted, Sunset swallowed her embarrassment and scooped Pinky up, sweeping off her feet like a bride carried over a threshold, as she really hoped no one was around to see it.
I love you,
she heard Pinky murmur, and felt Pinky get nuzzling into her neck, followed by soft kisses as whatever dreams the cheerleader had were impacting her sleeping form. Sitting in her car, Sunset got into the driver's seat and turned the air conditioner full blast, hoping the cool air would remove the full-body blast of mortification she had going on right now. Hopefully it would go away by the time they got to Equestria County line. Do. Finally, after getting Pinky home, Sunset went to the house. She was tired and told her parents she was going to just skip dinner.
So, how was your date?
Arya asked her. Ari, for the final time, it was a date, Arya said, crossing her arms. You just told your parents you and Pinky went out to Horseshoe Bay. You claimed you needed to talk to her in private, but you couldn't have just gone to Evergreen Glades or Plainville. Was this half the distance? No, you went to Horseshoe Bay and was seeing views of romantic boardwalk. And cheap food prices at a wonderful cafe, all available now for $19.99. What? These are the jokes, people. I got nothing.
Sunset looked at her, slack-jawed. You can't help but dig yourself in deeper. You can't help but dig yourself deeper, can you? Sunset face palmed. Fuck, Ari, look, Sonny. I don't care if you're a lesbian, bi, or just stupid. Point is, if you don't want to date Pinky, don't do that shit. She's going to clearly misunderstand. Hard to look romantic when you're in the trance of horse ranches out in Playfield, right? Wow, Sunset said flatly. You really know how to work on someone's feelings. You should get a job with Hallmark. Arya brushed it off. Hey, it's the job of family to tell you what you need to hear sometimes, right? Let's consider one of my many talents. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'm just going upstairs for a bit and prep my clothes for tomorrow. You might be lucky enough to only have to wear a uniform, but I have to dress to impress. Yeah, but impress who is the question? Arya called back as Sunset trudged up the stairs. As Sunset raced her room, her phone went off. The first 5 texts were from Pinky, with hugs and kisses, and one fully nude image. Yeah. What Sunset made a mental note to tote was Pinky out for sexting her. Hey, Sunset, after you're done looking at that and chewing her out, before you delete it, could you send me a plop? Even if I was dating her, and I'm not gonna let her do that to herself. The next text was from Rarity, asking her if she was ready for tomorrow, and what she had planned to wear so they could all wear matching colors as her unofficial renew. The one after that was from Shimmer, letting her know they landed safely overall, and that she missed her big sister. Sunset couldn't help but smile at that. Sunset was about to set her phone on charger when a final text came from Fluttershy, asking her to meet her at Old House at 7:30 in the morning. Apparently, she had a surprise plan for all of them for the first day of school. It was actually her dad's idea. Sunset smiled at that as well, knowing Discord was probably to pull out all the stops, given this would be the first day as the parent of a kid in school. Well, to him anyway. Apart from imagine a massive soundstage being put in CES parking lot, so his band could perform during lunch. And he actually wanted to be a parent. She didn't know. She lit the Dragonfire candle back in her room once more. Once she certain things were safe for it to be used in its original setting, now a limiter spell on it that extended downstairs into the containment if the transport flame got higher than 3 inches. Scream Flame came alive, then coalesced into ash, was then materialized into one box, much like the one her mother had sent her weeks ago after her last visit to Equestria. Opening it, she found a note from Raven Quill, her mother Shinso, congratulating her on her ascension, and that the following scrolls would be delivered as soon as Sunset touched them. The letter displayed that they were official invites for Princess Celestia to her human family, presented to court inviting them to Equestria during the week of the Rising Solstice, where they accused of the coronation and investor of Sunset Shimmer as Princess of Seekers. Princess of Seekers? Sunset wondered what the hell that was supposed to imply. After all, her mother was Princess of the Sun, her aunt Princess of the Moon, Twilight Princess of Princess, and Kings was Princess of Love. Well, what the hell was Princess of Seekers? The first postscript was an official note from Raven, stating that Princess Luna had perversely authorized the deployment of the Special Initiative Royal Equestrian Navy, pursuant to the Lord Admiral of the Fleet's final approval. Sunset grinned at that. Despite the fact that she hadn't been too happy finding out her cousins were risking their neck for her, it was good to see that Arya's wish that Siren be changed into something of worth and come true. The last part was a personal note for Raven, asking if Sunset could come a few days early, at her convenience, so that Celestia could explain it all, and also see family, because it was clear the Solar Alicorn missed her daughter dearly. Sunset felt immensely touched at that. Even as an adult mare, she guessed she would always be her mother's filly. Sunset then responded she would as soon as she worked things out locally. Then she lit the letter, sending it on the way. Finally she opened the box, and various scrolls within started to fan in flashes of golden light. The telltale magic of Celestia's order work, even from all reality away. Sunset felt then, just for a moment, the warm sensation 2 large swings enveloped her in a lovely embrace. She knew it didn't happen, of course, but the synthetic magic spell had been placed there to make it clear. Her mother would always love her. Even though they all been through, Celestia loved her daughter and always do so. Sunset wiped tears of joy from her eyes as the sensation vanished. She owed it to her mother to visit Equestria as soon as she could. That done, she then went into a closet to try to figure out what to wear for the first day of school. Rarity had already sent out a list of colors and styles she would be wearing, and Sunset Sea wanted to match it. Hell, even Rainbow of all people volunteered to wear a skirt tomorrow for this occasion.
So it had to be momentous. Tomorrow, after all, was the first day of a new adventure. And believe it or not, folks, this is not the last chapter. Next time will be the last two-parter. And I have a feeling it's going to be a doozy.